Do you have a loved one suffering from dementia, or have you started noticing a few worrying signs of it in yourself? Maybe it's not you, but others around you who have noticed, and that's concerning you more than you want to admit. But do we just sit and wait, hoping that our minds won't fail too quickly and badly? Or is there something we can do to slow down mental decline through changing the foods on our plates? Let's talk about this. In this episode, we'll see if eating differently, specifically adding in more fiber rich plant based foods to our meals, can help build a stronger, more mentally active brain and even cut dementia risk. I want to share some fascinating research that has emerged linking the fiber content of our diets and the risk of dementia. So, if you want to stay mentally sharp and cognitively active for longer, join me in this episode. Let's go! Welcome to the Plant Based Eating Made Easy podcast. I'm your host, Anna Zinn, plant-based registered dietitian and transition coach. Hi, friend. Do you want to regain your health with plant-based eating but feel overwhelmed and lost about how to do it? Do you feel it'll be hard to change your meat-heavy diet and impossible with working, running the home, or chasing after the grandkids? If so, you're in the right place. Here you'll find simple strategies, clear nutrition guidance, and practical tips to help you thrive plant-powered with more energy. So if you're ready to ditch the guesswork and transform your health the stress-free way, cozy up now with a hot cup of tea or listen while you walk, and let me show you how doable plant-based eating can be. Let's do this. Friend, if you're wanting to live the best life possible in your remaining years, I want to help you achieve that. Let me customize an eating plan for you to help lower cholesterol, stabilize blood sugars, and lower your risk of neurodegenerative diseases like dementia. Send me an email at healthnow@plantnourish.com or see the contact options in the show notes. Let's connect so we can look at your specific situation together. With the right guidance and support, you can thrive on a plant-powered lifestyle and stay strong mentally and physically. I look forward to helping you reach your desired weight and health goals. I have a friend whose husband has dementia, and I see her struggles and challenges taking care of him as the main caregiver. She often posts videos and pictures of their life together before and what it is like now. And the changes are noticeable from just a few years back to present. In one video, she is singing a karaoke song with him, and she wrote, "I miss singing together with you." Besides his memory fading, her husband is also having hallucinations and is unable to sleep until about 3 a.m. every night, which means she has been getting limited sleep too. But more than this, the biggest thing she has been experiencing is grief. She told me that lately she has been crying every night because she is filled with regret. Regret over what she could have done differently to help her husband, and grief over losing a little bit of him mentally each day to dementia. I feel for her, and her experience is a big reason why I'm doing today's episode. Let's look closer at dementia and see if dietary changes can impact the risk of getting dementia for ourselves and our loved ones. First, what exactly is dementia? Dementia is a syndrome that can be caused by a number of diseases that affect thinking, memory, and a person's ability to perform daily activities. Then, over time, nerve cells are destroyed and brain damage results, gradually causing a drop in cognitive function at a greater rate than what we usually see from normal aging. What gets affected then is a person's ability to process thoughts. We can also see changes in mood, behavior, motivation, and in a person's emotional control. The majority of patients with dementia have Alzheimer's disease, and those with Alzheimer's disease can generally expect a shorter life expectancy, a lower quality of life, and higher healthcare costs. And Alzheimer's disease is the sixth leading cause of death in the United States, with more than 121,000 deaths attributed to it in 2019. So, what can be done about it? Do we just hope for the best? That our memory will stay strong and that we'll have a good 5 to 10 more mentally sharp years ahead of us before things go downhill? Or is there something we can do to fight and prevent our minds deteriorating too quickly? Well, recently, there have been increasing interest in the potential role of the gut microbiome and how its characteristics may impact the onset and progression of neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's disease. Research has shown that frequent communication exists through bidirectional pathways between our gastrointestinal or GI tract and the central nervous system through what's known as the gut-brain axis. And we see from research that subjects with Alzheimer's disease seem to have different gut microbiota profile characteristics compared to healthy subjects. While research continues in both animal models and in population studies, I want to highlight an interesting study that was published in 2022 on this topic. This is the Circulatory Risk and Community Study, conducted in Japan, which is an ongoing prospective community cohort study involving 5 communities in Japan. For this study, researchers followed 3,739 individuals aged 40 to 64 years of age for a median period of 19.7 years. Researchers estimated dietary fiber intake using the 24-hour dietary recall method and also tracked the incidence of disabling dementia during this period of time. What researchers Yamagishi and colleagues found was this. Systolic and diastolic blood pressures were inversely associated with total fiber intake. This meant that the higher the total fiber intake in a person's diet, the lower their blood pressures seemed to be. In addition, after analyzing the 670 cases of disabling dementia that had developed during the study period, it was seen that dietary fiber intake was inversely associated with risk of dementia. In other words, the groups who ate higher levels of fiber had a lower risk of developing dementia. Furthermore, it was found that the link between fiber intake and dementia seemed to be greater for soluble fibers. Soluble fibers are rich in plant-based foods such as oats, beans, and lentils, while insoluble fibers tend to be higher in plant-based foods such as whole grains and vegetables. The researchers concluded that dietary fiber intake, especially soluble fiber, was inversely associated with risk of disabling dementia in the general Japanese population. According to these researchers, one possible reason for these associations seen is that soluble fiber regulates the composition of gut bacteria, which in turn may affect neuroinflammation, and this may be a factor contributing to the onset of dementia. Another possibility is that the higher dietary fiber intake lowers some of the other risk factors for dementia, such as high blood pressure, elevated lipid levels, a high body weight, and diabetes. Of course, as with all research studies, there are limitations to this study, and more research needs to be conducted on this topic. But it is still encouraging to hear that eating more fiber, which can be naturally found in many whole plant-based foods, can benefit not just our gut microbiome, but can potentially benefit our brains as well in terms of future dementia risk. So today we looked at the question of whether eating more whole natural plant-based foods can help reduce the risk of getting dementia. And we saw that centering our plates around minimally processed whole plant-based foods can bring many health benefits, not just in lowering our risk of getting chronic diseases, but also potentially lowering dementia risk. I hope this episode has given you much food for thought, especially if you desire to keep a strong, active mind as you age. Thank you so much for listening. If this podcast has inspired, encouraged, or helped you in some way to transform your health, I would love to hear about it. Please take 30 seconds to rate and leave a written review on Apple Podcasts to let me know. It will encourage me so much to hear how this podcast has positively impacted and made a difference in your journey towards wellness. And share about this podcast with a friend or loved one so we can all thrive in the best health. Remember, plant-based eating can be easy and doable. See you in the next episode, my friend.